Welcome back to In Session. We just spoke with Jose Baez, Casey Anthony's attorney, to clarify some information. There was a report earlier this morning that Casey had asked him to step down as her legal counsel. He is telling us that is absolutely false. He is on board with this. Gene Casares is with us, as well as James Blatt, criminal defense attorney. So thank you both for being with us as well. When you first heard that he was asked to step down, let me ask you, James Blatt, how does that happen? How does an inmate from another state file a motion that makes it to local media and is able to blindside everybody?
I think it's ridiculous. I think Mr. Baez is correct. This is an insignificant distraction that should have never been a headline. Anyone can attempt to file anything, and the fact that it was actually filed when this individual is not connected to the case, has no standing, it should have never happened. And it shows what Mr. Baez is saying, that on a high-profile case, anything can be a distraction. And this has become a great distraction, which has absolutely no merit.
Do people often, you're a criminal defense attorney, Mr. Blatt, do people often try to ingratiate themselves in cases and prove to be distractions, obviously?
Well, I think it occurs in high-profile cases, and this definitely is one of the greater high-profile cases in America at this time. So you're going to get the nuts and the unusual individuals coming out of the woodwork, trying to participate in the case. But it's important for the court to have a filter against those types of individuals. This motion should not have been filed. It should not have been presented to the press. It is not of any value. It has no merit. And this is always the types of distractions that can be debilitating for the defense as you proceed closer to trial.
Sure. Curtis Jackson, this morning at one point was that Jose Baez was being asked to step down from the Casey Anthony case by Casey herself. That is not true, we have been able to establish in talking to Jose Baez himself. But these kinds of rumors pose as such a distraction to the court in its entirety, the prosecution, the judge, the defense as well. With me is Gene Casares, as well as James Blatt, criminal defense attorney. James, I wanted to ask you, how much pressure, I mean, you're a criminal defense attorney, how much pressure do you feel, particularly in a case of this gravity, when you've got so much public scrutiny about it and so many rumors swirling around? We talked to Jose about how he tries to deal with the pressure and just focus straight on the court, but isn't that hard to do after a while?
Of course it's difficult, but I think that he had the correct attitude. He showed a very honest determination with some sincere humility. I think he's going to make a wonderful impression in front of a jury. And in reference to pressure, you just learn to deal with it. You take one step forward each time. He knows how to do that. He's a very experienced lawyer. So I think he'll handle the pressure very well.
Okay, I suppose too. James, have you ever found yourself, obviously not in a case of this gravity, but having to defend yourself against rumors while in the courtroom to the jury?
Well, not really, but, I was the lead attorney on the Jesse James Hollywood trial, and unfortunately we had a movie made about that case prior to starting. So we were deeply concerned about the impact that would have in reference to the jury. And there's no question that continued publicity, oftentimes in this case, which has been negative, over a period of 3 years, can have a very damaging impact on a jury. You ask the proper questions on voir dire, will you be fair, but you never know what's in the juror's mind. So I think it's going to take some deep questioning, some gut instinct by the defense attorneys on how to choose this jury where they will be fair and partial to their defendant.
Barry Logan, who's going to be on the stand again tomorrow, he is a forensic chemist, and he has said straight out, I'm not an expert on human decomposition, but I have studied it intensely. When you get on the stand and you have to, I guess, admit that you're not an expert, does that sway jurors in any way, whether as in terms of how much credence they're going to give this particular witness?
Well, they look at the entire background of the expert, and obviously they're going to look at his demeanor, his credentials, things of that nature. But I think the cross-examination by the defense attorneys, probing, going deeply into his abilities, his knowledge, his prior experience in this area will be the critical factor for them to determine. And every expert is evaluated by the totality of the facts in the case. So you listen to an expert, you listen to the entire case, and then you determine their value, if any.
You are back within session, and we're talking about Casey Anthony today. She is in court tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., so we're talking about what to expect there. But we just got off the phone with Jose Baez, who spoke with us for about half an hour this morning. And, Jean, one of the things that he said that really stood out to me was James Blatt. She brings up a very good point, because the first thing you think of is, okay, he's going to talk about it, but how is he going to explain this away? Is this where Zenaida Gonzalez comes back into play, do you think?
I think Mr. Baez, by relating to you that he's going to do it in the first minute of his opening statement, understands the critical importance of this issue, because it is something that is very troubling. Frankly, I don't know how he's going to explain it, and I don't want to speculate on his behalf at this time. I think we're just going to have to wait and hear what he has to say. He may have reasons or explanations that will catch us by surprise. They may be very logical and reasonable under the circumstances. And I think it's best at this time, since it's such a critical part of the trial, her reason for waiting, that we just need to wait along with Mr. Baez and hear his opening statement.
And we have to remember, just because she is viewed right now as being a bad mother, I mean, there's no way around that. People see her right now and think this is a bad mother. But being a bad mother does not equate, even if that is true, to being a murderer. How do you get that into people's minds?
Well, she may not be a bad mother. This is something that may have been presented by the press over the years. She may have been a very fine mother. We don't know all the facts. And I think what we have to do at this stage of the game is to wait. We have a month to go. And I think there will be information that she was, in all probability, a very loving and caring individual. We don't know the facts of the reason for the 1-month delay. But that is the crucial factor here, because if she's an outstanding mother, there's no logical reason for the 1-month delay. So that must be explained immediately, rationally, and convincingly to the jury. I
think that's where the bad mother comes. What about the fact that we're so close to this trial now? Do you think that a jury, how big a task is that going to be, James, picking a jury?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
How difficult a task is it going to be to seat a jury in this case?
I think it's going to be very difficult, and also for both sides. You know, each party wants to have a fair and impartial jury, but it's difficult when there's massive publicity for 3 years, when there's so many negative things said about your client, when there's a deep-rooted question of why the wait, and the photos about the party and about the tattoo and things of that nature, which may have a very simple, rational explanation. So these are things that you're going to have to probe. But in the end, it's the gut instinct of the defense attorneys when they look that person in the eye, man or woman, and determine, will this person be fair? Will they listen to all the facts? Will they give us a honest, fair determination of this case? And that is something you can't teach in law school. That is the gut reaction of an experienced defense attorney.